You've got Roy here from the band Scouting for Girls.
Roy, do you want to tell me a little bit about what you've been up to lately?
Well, during lockdown, we decided to record an album of 80s covers because we realised that's exactly what the world needed, a noughties band doing an 80s cover album. But mainly it was to find a bit of fun and joy in what was otherwise a pretty rubbish year.
It sounds like something everybody needs.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely after last year.
I wondered, is this something that you envisioned yourself doing, or was it more that kind of 2020 threw you into that?
It was definitely the case of 2020 made us do this because I had a full diary booked of production, so I was supposed to be producing other bands in my studio. And then when lockdown happened, they weren't coming, and I had an empty studio, and I didn't have any songs because we just released an album, The Trouble with Boys, the winter before. So I just started doing some 80s songs, which was an idea we'd had like probably almost a decade before, of doing an album completely based upon the pun of Easy Lover, Easy Cover. And that's how it started.
Such a brilliant title of an album.
Where it was either going to be Cover Chameleon, Easy Cover, or Scouting for Girls Just Want to Have Fun.
So many options.
Yeah, exactly. We love a pun. That's Scouting for Girls all over. We've done a whole album campaign based on a late night drunken conversation in 2011.
Wow. I did wonder though, because I've seen online and things that you really love Britpop and that era.
Yeah.
Why didn't you kind of go down that road of Oasis and Blur and?
That is a very good question. And to be honest, if we'd thought about it anymore, that's what we would have done. I've actually started doing some 90s covers. When I finished the album, I did a few 90s covers, which I think I may release a few towards the end of the year. But I'm just excited about doing some original music now.
Yeah. It sounds like you really enjoy the process, though, that you kind of, now that you finished that, you've kind of been playing around with 90s covers and things like that.
Yeah, I just love being in the studio. I sort of upgraded the studio before lockdown happened. I got a beautiful desk and some lovely mics and a beautiful piano. And so I just love being in the studio, creating music.
So everybody else's house renovation is your kind of studio renovation.
Yeah, much to my wife's annoyance.
So with that writing process then, you said about original material. What is your writing process?
I pretty much sit down. I try and sit down every day at the piano or on a guitar and just come up with something. And pretty much every day I will write something like a chorus or a hook. And then the next day, if it's any good, I'll remember it and I'll carry on working on it. So it's kind of definitely try. The more you do, it's like quality control. The more you do, the more you can choose from.
Yeah, it sounds like you kind of keep up that momentum.
Yeah, definitely.
Have you ever had like a writer's block or?
I've never had writer's block. Touch wood.
Hmm.
I've always found ways. I play pretty much every instrument badly. So if nothing's coming on the piano, I go to the guitar or I go to the drums or, I start doing the keyboard. And even if I find that nothing writing happens, I can then go into production, start being really creative with, how to produce songs. Or, you do a cover and that opens up so many ideas for me. Even if I start learning a cover, I end up writing a song that sounds a bit like that cover. I love doing that.
Yeah, has it always been like that for you? It sounds like it's something that's so fluid now. Is it something that you've always had, or did it start at a specific point?
It started like going back to Britpop. I love Britpop. As soon as I saw Blur and Oasis, Suede, all I wanted to do was be in a band. And so I found a guitar, and I've actually found that I couldn't work out how to sing in tune to begin with. I found it a really weird process, and I found that I was much better if I wrote my own songs. I was much better doing. I think I just wasn't good enough to play other people's songs to begin with, and so I just ended up writing songs out of default because I couldn't work out how to sing other people. So that's really how it started.
Yeah, it sounds like the writing process is something that's, for you in particular, is something you really love. Do you think if, you wouldn't have become a musician, do you think you would have gone down that route? Or
I think so. I've always been creative. I studied, like, I loved English at school, and then I went to university. I studied English. I think I may have, I don't know. I'd actually like to start writing more actual fiction and maybe non-fiction. But it's a hard thing because when you write lyrics, it's a very different process because you could spend like 2, 3, 4 days just tweaking a lyric, which essentially is pretty much like half a page of prose. And if you wrote that slowly, you wouldn't even finish a chapter, So I think I'd be quite a slow writer, but I haven't actually really got down to writing. It's actually definitely one of the things I want to do.
Sounds like it requires a great deal of patience.
Time as well, I think, and
yeah,
that's the one thing that's with being in a band and having a young family is not what I have a lot of.
Yeah. So 2020 didn't afford you that kind of extra time in a sense.
Not really. I was just in the studio working on this new album. Then we started, with Zoom sessions. Did a lot of co-writing with other people over Zoom, which was fun, and it kind of served a purpose. And then, I kind of, I don't know where the year's gone. It's pretty frightening, actually. I've come out of lockdown with just like 11 songs on an album, but I suppose it's better than nothing.
Yeah, it's a pretty big achievement.
Yeah.
And what about the original material? So there's some original songs on the album as well, isn't there?
Yeah, as soon as I started doing covers, a couple of original songs sort of, just came out. So there's one called I Wish It Was 1989, which was pretty much my anthem for 2020. Going back to a time when I was like 10 years old and had no worries at all. So that was one of the songs on there. And then there's a couple of other original ones which are either about the 80s or 80s inspired in some way. But I think it was nice to just put together like a really fun album. It doesn't take itself too seriously, and also, as Pete, our drummer, says, all the hard work had been done for us because most of the songs had already been written.
Yeah. So things have changed a lot for you as a band over the years. I guess where do you see kind of things going now in the future and with everything that's kind of going on in the world?
Well, we've got a whole tour booked, and I think we're coming to Exeter in October, which we just can't wait for. I've never looked forward to a tour more in my life. I really can't wait to get out of the house and see other people and play shows. And it does feel like, everyone in the live industry is very bullish about it all coming back. And I think, our ticket sales have been better than anything than other ticket sales. This is going to be our longest and largest tour we've ever done. So hopefully people are willing to come out and support live music. It feels that way. And hopefully, the way it's going, everybody who wants to be vaccinated will have had their vaccine by then. So I'm just keeping everything crossed.
Yeah, absolutely. It will be amazing to have, that live music again.
Yeah, definitely.
In 2019 then, it was you did have quite a big tour, didn't you? So it must have been quite a change of pace from that to 2020. Did you have any kind of memories of that tour that were kind of playing on your mind, or kind of just that kind of feeling of being, playing a live gig?
It was, to be honest, it all feels like a bit of a dream. Like being in a band, it kind of feels like something I used to do.
Yeah.
Like it really does feel a bit weird, and so we're just so looking forward to getting out there and doing it again, because it will. As I said, I've never been more excited to do this, and I've never been more inspired. So I'm hoping, I really am hoping that that things go ahead.
Yeah, once you get back on that stage, it'll just be like, nothing, nothing
I
ever
know,
happened in a
I
way.
know, and you know how quickly things get back. So I am hoping that. I tell you what, we will appreciate it though. We'll appreciate it so much. I
Yeah,
can't wait.
yeah. And there's probably going to be some new fans that will come with time, and I wondered, if they wondered why you were called Scouting for Girls, what would you say to that?
Well, I just have to like me and Pete. We met when we were Cub Scouts, and the thing that started the Scouts was a book by Baden Powell called Scouting for Boys,
Hmm.
uh, and that is where the name came from. And we thought again, as I said, going back to the easy cover play on words, give us a play on words and we're happy, and and that's essentially where the name came from. It does sound a bit funny now, but it's still doing us proud.
Yeah. It just sounds amazing that you've had that kind of experience together over all those years, and you've been on that journey together.
Yeah, do you know that is probably the thing I'm most proud of is the fact that we did this together, and it was we were friends from school. We were friends for like about 10 years before we even started playing music together, and we always started playing music so that we could carry on hanging out. And then we were in a band for 10 years before we got a record deal, and then that was 15 years ago. So we've been friends since we were very little. And I think one of the best things about Scout for Girls is the fact that we've done it together as a group of friends.
Yeah, yeah, it's incredible. I mean, most people might lose touch with their childhood friends, for example. So it's pretty incredible.
Yeah,
Um,
it is amazing. It's we're very lucky, very lucky.
so tell me a little bit more about kind of the tour and when you're coming to Exeter.
We are on tour, I think, from the very end of September, all the way through to the end of November. So it's a bit of a monster tour, and we are coming to Exeter on, I believe, it is the Corn Exchange,
Hmm.
which I don't think we've ever played before. The last time we played was the University, which is a great gig 2 years ago, really good. And we're coming down to Exeter on the 25th of October to play the Corn Exchange. And I think we're also doing the Bear Grylls Festival at Powderham Castle
Oh yeah,
on the 27th of August. So fairly just before that as well, which looks like a really good laugh. So we're down twice in the next, hopefully, 6 months. Fingers crossed.
fantastic. So where can people find tickets?
Tickets, if you just Google Scouting for Girls Exeter, it will come up, and but be quick because we've I think there's like 40 odd dates on the tour. I think 10 have sold out already. So please be quick and come and see us.